Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you all how I draw hair. These are just a couple of examples here. I'm going to show you how I get the form and shape and how I like to go about doing it. I have some templates that I drew out here. They were originally just going to be a bunch of heads, and then I drew on the bodies, and then I had to draw clothes on them, and then I decided that they needed faces, and so I have these here. I'm going to do different hairstyles or hair types for each model. So I guess we can start. I'm going to start with the first one, wavy long hair. And I did screenshot some stuff from Pinterest. This one's my hair type, the wavy long type. And actually all of these outfits are outfits that I own. So I thought that would be neat. I was gonna do, yeah, I guess I couldn't decide on any outfits, and then they were the first things that came to mind. Now, there's something I want to say about hair. It is a shape. It is a 3D shape. It's not flat, but it's also not, how do I put it? I guess you could say it's similar to something like this. It's not hard. I'll just use this. It's not hard like this, but the hair wraps around something that's hard, like this, your head, and it's going to lie like that. It wraps around this 3D object. It's not going to be flat. So it has form and shape to it, and I'm going to show you some techniques that I use when I do it. This is not a tutorial on how to draw hair, it's how I draw hair and how I go about doing it. So yeah, I guess we can just actually draw something now. Please excuse the expression on her face. I got a little carried away there. Now, what we got to keep in mind when we do hair is the hairline. I'm not very good at explaining things or putting to words my thought process and everything, but the hairline wraps around the face. The face is not like a piece of paper, and that's why it's hard when drawing a face or hair or anything really, is because we are drawing on something flat, and what we're drawing is a 3D object. So from the hairline to the eyebrows, and then from the eyebrows to the nose to the chin, so splitting the face in about thirds there, not including this cranium, the back of the head there. So it's going to wrap around here, something like that. And you know, there are different kinds of hairlines. Some people have pointier, I don't know what's called, a widow's peak or something, and some are rounder. Some go back further. Some people have larger foreheads. This is going to wrap around the ear slightly, so the hair actually comes slightly in front of the ear right here. It's probably a little too small to see exactly, something like that, and this ear is too big, so I'm going to shrink it there. So, but we'll get to that one in a sec. I have different angles of the face here so we can explore all the parts of it. So we have the hairline, and now for this. Okay, pretty much the hair, obviously the roots are on the top of the head, the scalp, and it's going to come down. I think we all know that though, so I'm going to draw it in. And now we have a shape. Okay, so the hair is not going to look like it's plastered to the head. It is light. Hair is light, also depending on how long or thick it is. If we are doing my hair type, it's going to be long and thick. It's going to be wavy. So when I do hair, a lot of times I think about the shape. It's not plastered to the head. I'm not drawing it down like this, straight onto the head. I'm going a little bit above and around it, just to add thickness, more form. And let's do a side part here. And when you do a side part, obviously the part, if it's parted on this side of the head, it's gonna look, the hair is gonna look thicker on this part because you have more hair on this side of the head. So like that. It's gonna go higher. And I'm being very loose. When I draw hair, I like to be very loose. I like to use simple shapes that define the different parts or locks of hair, different chunks. I do not draw hair using millions and millions of lines. For my style, what I like to do is suggest the shape to create an illusion that it's, you know, a bunch of hair, you know, bunched together, but what it really is just one simple shape. And another thing to think in mind, so hair doesn't only wrap around the head, okay, it also wraps around the body, like the shoulders, the chest, and I'm actually going to erase some of this down here. It's going to wrap around the 3D object. Another thing to keep in mind when drawing hair is your strokes and the curves you make are going to be curved in the direction that the hair is flowing or falling. Because you can see here, this is like a 15-minute sketch I did a few days ago. We have simple gestures that I made, and I was very, very loose in the way I was doing it because also it was a warm-up. But they're just simple lines and shapes. So we see here in the part, I make these loop-like shapes which kind of suggest that there are like chunks of hair there, and it also, they're going up, they're not all going in this direction. We have some going in this direction, but we also have some going in this direction. And it shows that the hair has form, because if we have a circle here, we don't have all these lines going in just one direction. We have them going like this. We have them going like this. It's a 3D form, and so every stroke I'm putting down is just to further help define the shape and form of the hair. And this is a bob hair. This is even more crazy. You can tell it's curly hair, but there is little detail in the actual form. If this were to be a full or finished illustration, I probably would have put more detail in it. But look at this shape here. And if I didn't have all these lines in here and these dark shadows and to define the different directions that the hair is flowing and curving, it would just look like a flat, odd shape. So, something to keep in mind. And another thing, so the hair that I'm drawing here is coming up here and behind her head. So one, it's going to be in more shadow. And two, it's not going to be going straight up from right here. It's coming from behind her head. I guess it depends on where you're pulling your hair from. And since this piece of hair is in front of her face, I'm going to darken it because it's a big portion of her hair in its definition. So a lot of what I like to focus on when doing hair is shape language. And I do that with other things too, other parts of my art, but especially with hair because it is such a unique part of the human body. It is different from every other piece of anatomy because the body itself, of course, is like a hard 3D object like this. But the hair, it works so differently. The way it flows in the wind, like something your body doesn't do, is flow like this in crazy wind. It might knock you over if the wind is that windy, but you know what I mean. And there's just so many ways out there of making beautiful hair and stuff. So yeah, this is my technique. And now that we got this one done, we'll move on to profile. It's all of these sketches are kind of small, so I hope it's easy for you to see. If I zoom in, the quality probably won't be as nice, but we'll see what I can do. The hairline, we're gonna come back. It's pretty much the same as this, but the head is turned, so we're only getting half of it, and the shape is slightly different. All right, so the hairline where it stops is right about here, and we gotta remember this: the cranium of the head. It comes back a lot farther. So I do not have a skull to show you in real life, but I hope this makes sense. So for this, I'm going to do a high top ponytail. Now, when your hair is up, we gotta remember gravity. Now, if you're one of those artists like me that will draw gravity-defying hair, then, I mean, you can definitely get away with stuff like that, especially if you do cartoon drawings or semi-realistic. But yeah, generally speaking, we keep in mind a general rule of gravity. Like, her hair would not be floating aimlessly in the air like that. It obviously will fall around her. So, okay, again, right here, I am keeping in mind the shape of this hair. As you can see, I drew kind of a sharp, boxy rectangle thing to define where the ponytail first comes out. I'm going to draw it down just in a few simple strokes, like that. And just like that, she looks like she has a ponytail in her hair. But we're going to add a little more. So because her hair is up, now if her hair was tight to her head, as if it were plastered almost, we probably wouldn't have to worry about any extra hair around here. But I'm going to make it a little more loose, so there's going to be a little more hair sagging down at the bottom of the scalp right there. It's going to, because ponytails, they're going to, you know, gravity. Okay. And it's going to pull on this part of the head. And this part would be a little more flat, but you can still have hair that comes up here like this. And I actually did this on my hair the other day, where this ponytail will pull on the underneath hairs. So this is so very hard to explain. But your hair is pulling taut on certain hairs in this area. But then some hairs you can pull up to give it the effect of it looking thick and give it more form. I hope this makes sense, guys. And we don't want these lines to be too defined because, again, it's going to look like the hair is plastered to the head. So those are just general guidelines. And I just, again, keep your lines curved. Remember, it's wrapping around the scalp, so they're not all just going to be straight up. It's going to curve around in the direction it's supposed to go in. Like that. And now we're going to move on to a bob. If my hair was that short, it would like poof out like a pom-pom probably because it's just so thick. I don't know if I could get it to obey me the way this is it. Okay, we're just gonna start. Because the hair is shorter, it's lighter, and it's gonna be a little more poofy, okay? And because it's wavy, it's gonna be, okay, okay, it's gonna be bigger. Now, I also use shape to try and crop the face, the type of face that she has. So she actually has a rounder face right here. And actually this 3/4 view is not that great, but we're gonna ignore that. This tutorial is for hair. Now, because her hair is shorter and wavier, I'm using simpler, smaller strokes or to make small shapes that suggest that it is, in fact, wavy hair. But now we're going to move on to straight hair. And I'm actually going to do a braid in this one. Because we have a little more fantasy attire here, I thought I'd go with something elven. So this is the back of someone's head, and it's going to fall behind the ears here. Sometimes it won't, but you know, you can usually see the back of the ears from behind someone. I don't know what this red dot here is. We're gonna bring it down. I don't know how long I want this, but I'm gonna bring it down to about here. And right now I've just blocked in the shape. We pretty much have a rectangle, and then it points off like a triangle. When it comes to drawing, whether it be hair or anything, I always prefer to start with guidelines because they are the foundation of your art, your drawing. And good foundations make for stronger or better art. So foundations are good. I highly recommend using them, especially if you're a beginner, because I know there are some people that can like draw a hyper realistic drawing from like an eyeball or an eyelash or something, and it's, yeah, crazy awesome. So again, I'm keeping in mind that the hair is wrapping around the head. Alright, so we have our guidelines, and I don't know if you can see very easily, but there is a method I use for drawing braids. When I draw braids, like when I'm drawing really tiny or something like that, and I just want to suggest that there is a braid, I usually just go like nothing much. And the smaller it is, the more it's gonna look like a braid. But I'm pretty much going like this, very, very fast. And to be honest, that actually isn't how a braid looks. But it can look like it in certain instances. When I want to put more detail into it, I normally have a shape, something like this, and zigzags down the middle like that. And I'll connect them like this. It's a general idea. And we'll tie it off there, and the hair will continue to come down. And this is straight hair. I'm so used to drawing wavy hair that when I do straight hair, there's usually a little bit of wave in it. So we'll see if we can, if I can control myself. I'm getting such strong, harsh light here. Like it was so overcast just a little bit ago, and now I'm getting so much strong light. All right. It's gonna come out from underneath here, and again, I'm not drawing in millions and millions and millions of lines here all the way down to the bottom. I'm just putting a few lines here to suggest the form. Certain lines are gonna be darker than others. Adds depth. And we can't forget, hair has some stray strands that will want to escape the rest of the bunch, and we can draw those in. And now we're gonna do a bun. The bun that I'm gonna try and do in her hair is something I sometimes do in my hair. It's a vintage bun, and it takes quite a few bobby pins, at least for my hair. So let's see if I can do this. I have some pictures right here, but they're all not exactly the way I think I do mine. However, this one's very, very similar. I probably will not be able to do it justice, but we'll see. My goodness, the shadows have gotten dark. In the last video, I used my green screen to block the light, and it made everything have like greenish shadows. It was weird. Again, I always block in the shapes first. So the bun is going to sit right about there. And I finagle with it. Usually the first lines I put down are not the lines that I want in the finished piece. So I work with them, I mold them, I carve them, shape them, many other words for it. Depending on where your lines are going to move in a piece is really going to tell or give a lot about what the hairstyle is or what type of hair it is. So her hair is being rolled back and pinned right here. So I'm going to show the direction that it's being rolled back in, just with a few simple strokes like that. Then it's going to come down into here. It's going to wrap around in a bun. And we have different sections because it's being wrapped around and around, kind of like a cinnamon roll, if that makes any sense. Darken certain shapes or lines that you really like. And yeah, finish forming the piece like that. That turned out better than I thought it would. Really helps to have references. And now the last hairstyle that we're going to be doing is curly. So we did wavy. We did kind of a cross between the two. It's like bob, like a wavy hair bob. Then we have straight. And now we're going to do curly. Curly is one of my favorites to do because there's so much shape in it. Like, look at this. And I'm not just talking about the hair, but like that skirt. Oh my goodness, I love that skirt. I have something very similar to it. This one right here. But man, her hair is parted more on one side, so I generally start with the part, where the part is, and I work from that. So I've marked out the shape, the general shape of the way her hair is going to look. Looks kind of weird right now, but believe me, it'll get better once we add more definition to certain areas. As you can see, I've started with the shape of the hair. And generally it's just very globular. Not much, like, it usually looks pretty crazy at first. And then we start. The smaller the drawing is, the less detail I put in making each curl perfect. And I'm not going to go like this all the way down for each curl. That's going to make it look very flat and lifeless. Instead, I'm going to use simple shapes to define or suggest it. And my favorite shapes to use are triangles. I just got tons of those. And I'm going to work more so on the outline and the deepest shadows. simple curls like a half moon, but with lots of hair in it, like that, but much smaller triangles, stuff like that. Shapes of various different sizes and designs. But look at that, curly hair. And sometimes I like to use some hatching and sometimes cross hatching in the shadows. And we have curly hair. There's all of them done. The sun is very annoying right now, but oh my goodness. But here we are. Yeah, that sun is annoying. Yeah, I hope that made sense. If you want something more detailed, like how I go about doing actual close-up shots of hair, or larger pictures I should say, not just tiny little figures, I can also do that, but it would have to be a separate video. It is pretty much the exact same. I always start with a foundation. It's very similar, except I put more detail into it. So I start the same way with a foundation, shape. So then I just keep working at it, render it, especially when you paint it. So if there are any things to keep in mind when doing hair, first and foremost I would say is form and shape. So I guess those would be the similar, shape slash form, and pretty much every other aspect of hair anatomy wraps around that specific thing, shape and form. All your strokes are going to be determined on the shape and form of your hair. So I hope all of this was helpful. I hope it made sense. But I had lots of fun, and I hope you guys did too. So yeah, I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.